The American Heart Association says that laughter can increase blood flow and vascular health. There's been studies done that says laughter increases social bonding.
Is the Navajo people, they about the 3-month mark with babies, we'll keep an eye out because when a baby first laughs, it means that the soul of this baby, the spirit of this baby has decided to officially come to the earthly realm, because I guess up until that point it's like half in the spirit realm and half on the earthly realm. And so when it first laughs, it's like a sign that it's ready to fully join the earthly realm.
And no way better to frustrate haters or enemies or whatever than being able to sincerely keep that smile on your face and be able to laugh about it, and not be drawn into the dark side.
What if I told you that laughter isn't just fun? It's actually one of the most powerful tools for better health, deeper relationships, and even more success in life. In today's episode, we're talking about why laughter is essential, not just for feeling good, but for thinking better, working smarter, and even living longer. We'll break down what makes something funny, why humor is changing, and how you can bring more joy into your life starting today. Stick around, because this is one conversation that'll leave you smiling.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Crack the Code podcast. This is Clint Baggett, your host, and I'm here with Shannon Baggett and Shane Russell, my co-host. And today we want to talk about laughter, right? What is laughter? What's funny anymore? What are the benefits of laughter? Maybe can laughter be dangerous or bad, or are there downsides to it? But we want to just generally explore that topic, because there is a benefit to laughter, right? The American Heart Association says that laughter can increase blood flow and vascular health. There's been studies done that says laughter increases social bonding and stuff. But, at the same time, I've felt like, in the past couple of years, there's almost been a repression of laughter. But really, I think that maybe we were laughing at the wrong things. Maybe we were laughing in ways that we shouldn't. So I find myself asking myself, right, what's funny and what's okay to be funny, because I don't want to quit laughing. I enjoy laughing. I love, a good story or a joke or something that's genuinely funny and just gets me laughing. I have that feeling, that rush of joy, and how do we embrace that and how do we engage it? I know that there's also been studies done that laughter in the workplace can increase productivity and innovation and all this kind of stuff. I know that, when I was working with teams, a lot of times I would try to insert humor, especially if a topic's getting really serious or dry or boring, making a little joke or bringing up some irony that's funny would just cut the tension and get people talking about it again and get people opening up. So with that, I'd like to, open it up to my co-host here and say, why do you want to talk about laughter?
Well, hello, everyone. So I really think that laughter truly is the best medicine. And it is supported by science and psychology and really ancient wisdom. It has powerful effects on the body and mind, and it helps us cope with stress, and it boosts our immune system and just overall well-being. Having a sense of humor, I don't know, it's an important part to helping keep our chin up and keep going. Laughter and provoking smiles, whether it's the workplace or family or wherever we're at, it just helps take the pressure off, and it feels good to laugh. Like when we truly laugh, it feels good, and we have a choice to whether we want to focus on the pain or focus on the joy. But when you focus on the joy and you keep your spirits high and keep that smile on your face, like I really feel like it helps you navigate the obstacles of life most effectively. What are your thoughts,
Yeah.
Shannon?
No, I totally agree with you. Excuse me. I think laughter is probably the biggest stress relief for most people. Um, you have to be able to laugh at like the messed up stuff in your life or in the world. Because it can really bog you down otherwise. You have to look for the funny, weird sides of everything. I also think like laughter in the workplace is hugely important. Some of my favorite places that I've ever worked, I had coworkers that were just like the funniest people. You
Yeah.
could sit and laugh and you really enjoyed each other's company in the workplace. And I still think about those people super fondly because they made my work experience there so pleasant.
I
Yeah. It
mean,
creates a sense of ease. Like, if someone's, maybe it's, it's intimidating sometimes being at work, especially if you're learning a new skill or, you're trying to figure things out or you're brand new to it, and to have someone who's willing to, just have good humor, kind of laugh about it a little bit, maybe even joke a bit. It eases the tension and it can make you comfortable and feel at home and feel welcome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, happy
Yeah.
employees are productive employees. I mean, this is a proven thing. And also, just be able to be yourself and go into the situation happy and wanting to provoke smiles and laughter. You know, it's contagious when you get everybody like, you know, kind of. I mean, you can laugh and have fun and still be productive at work. Is really the bottom line. I mean, there's one time a long time ago, I was working in the restaurant business, early in my career, and I was a server, and I was like just having fun with everybody. We're super stressed out Friday night, running around with their hair on fire, and I was like, "Work is fun," and like all this stuff. And at some point, they called me back and wrote me up uh, because I was having too much fun. I was like, "Oh gosh, this is insane," But
Right? Yeah, you're not supposed to be having a good time at work. Come on. What are you
yeah,
thinking? This is
exactly.
work. It's a four-lettered word. It's not fun.
Yeah. It's laughter just definitely like I think is like the fundamental building block of friendship.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's who you want to hang out with, is the person who makes you laugh. I mean, I think even in the dating scene, right? Like there's been I've heard stories that, as a guy, or women say that, they like being with a man that can make them laugh. Well, I mean, and even for me, I like being with someone who can make me laugh too, right? I want someone to be around someone who eases the tension and makes me feel comfortable to be in their presence. And if we can laugh together, then that feels really healthy, right? It feels comforting.
Yeah, you make me laugh pretty much every day. Even if it's accompanied with an eye roll, you make me laugh.
Yeah.
There's at least laughter. I go, oh God.
Yeah. I mean, and I do. I like to say stupid things. I like to say absurd things. I like to make fun of myself, or, I feel like the sweet spot for me in laughter is just kind of irony, right? Self irony more than anything. Just being comfortable taking a shot at myself and laughing about it and showing that, like, look, yeah, maybe this is a stereotype that applies, or maybe I've got some, bad thinking about something, or maybe there's some hidden subconscious fears a lot of times too. Like I found, in overcoming self-limiting beliefs, right, is to literally laugh about that self-limiting belief. If you're like, I don't think that I can do this, right? Just, make a joke about it. So I can say something like, yeah, I would do that, but I totally, have this whatever, and just make some statement about, how silly it is that I'm holding this belief. And interestingly enough, it seems to do something to the subconscious where it disempowers that limiting belief, right? You can literally, take the energy away from it and kind of acknowledge it as, well, that's just kind of silly, right? Why would I think that? Why would I think it's not possible? Why would I think that I can't do that? Why do I think that, whatever it is that's holding me back? And so like laughter does have this power to it and I think if we like anything, if we use it the right way and we're mindful of it and kind of conscious of it, it can be so beneficial. And I venture to say that like there's kind of a dark side of laughter too, and I think that if you're laughing at someone or laughing inappropriately, like it can be really really painful, even if it's accidental. I remember once I was kind of thinking on this morning, but I had a manager that was not very happy with me, and was making threats at me, right? And this employment scenario wasn't great. It wasn't the most fantastic. It was very stressful. Reminded me exactly of what you were saying, Shane. Like it was kind of like they didn't want people having fun, right? And so I was being threatened, like do this, do that, or you could lose your job. And I had I was doing everything I could in that job to try to make it tolerable, to try to make showing up there not feel terrible. So I wanted to have fun. I wanted to, be at ease. And so, they didn't like that for whatever reason that I was trying to enjoy working, and that was really rubbing this manager the wrong way. And so the threat was made, like, shape up or ship out. And I hit this point where I was just kind of done with it and I laughed, right? And I wasn't really laughing at that person per se. I was laughing just because I realized I'm just tired of this, like whatever. Okay, you want to fire me, go ahead. And I know that it made that person mad. That wasn't my intent. I wasn't really trying to make the person mad. I was just over it. But so in a weird way, it was kind of helping me process the moment. But at the same time, it was infuriating the person who thought that I was laughing at them. In my mind, I wasn't really laughing at them. I was just laughing at the kind of irony of the situation. I'm like, why am I here trying to do this? So what are your thoughts? I imagine both of you guys understand, like, there's a dark side of laughter, but, like,
Oh, there
how do you
definitely is a dark side. Like, laughter, I think, can be inappropriate sometimes, but I think sometimes, like, when it happens in inappropriate situations, it's not necessarily done maliciously. Like, when I was 19, my big group of friends, we lost one of our friends. He was kind of like the core of the group, and he died in a car accident, and we all went down. His family was from Mexico, so we went down into Mexico for the service and everything. And we're all a bunch of 19-year-old kids. This is our first big experience with death of like somebody our age, and we're sitting in this church, this Catholic church, listening to a sermon in Spanish, which, very limited, we know. And it turned into a giggle fest and we couldn't help it. There was probably 10 or 15 of us sitting there just trying not to laugh. And
Yeah.
every other, additional giggle from one of your friends just like made it worse. And it was oddly enough, like a very fond memory of that, very sad time, but it was also super awkward and really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But yeah, it's a coping mechanism, I think, for us at the
totally,
time. But it was really an inconvenient time for that to happen.
it's a natural coping mechanism. I mean, like, my life, I've pretty much been like a clown at a funeral luncheon for real everywhere I go. It's just been kind of, you know, because I'm always wanting to like look at the bright side or like, just not focus
Yeah.
on the pain and and there's, there, there are times like I think laughter based off of someone else's demise or at them, very bad. Very, very
Yeah.
bad to your point, Clint. Like we
Yeah.
don't want to do that. I mean, oftentimes like the laughter just comes from laughing at myself. And I found that being able to laugh at myself directly has kept me sane. Like having like a sense of humor and using the language of sarcasm and just helped me like keep my chin up and keep positive and keep walking into the light kind of, but
Yeah,
without it being at anybody else's expense. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was going to say, like, it just agreeing with that too. Like, and uh, it's interesting how it comes up because Shannon, I've had a similar experience. You be at church and you're there with your friends, and the minister or preacher or whatever is delivering this really heavy sermon on how you should do exactly what is being said or whatever it is, right? But you're young, you don't really you've tuned out, right? And so you look over to your friends, and one of your friends does something silly, and you giggle a little bit, and you try to suppress it, and it's weird. Like it is the suppressing, like sometimes suppressing laughter, like makes it like it becomes uncontrollable, and then you really
Totally.
just get to laughing, and you're just sharing that moment that you're all just laughing, and I don't know. There's like it's like magical, right? There's something about it that just feels life, and it creates this kind of bonding moment. And there's strength in laughter, and I think that it's a really healthy, natural thing. Like why do we laugh? Like you think about like all the animals out there and everything. Like why is laughter part of the human, cognitive function or bodily function, whatever it may be? I think that it's healthy and it's necessary, to be able to engage in laughter. Right? It does something for us psychologically. It does something for us, within our heart. And so I love to laugh, and I'm with you, Shane. Like, you know, I don't know how many really tough situations I've been in where I'll be the one to not sometimes not make a crack a big open joke to make fun of the situation, but I'll try to just get a little chuckle if I can, right? Just a little something just to ease that tension off, because if there is that mounting tension in a room, just a little laugh sometimes will change the whole dynamic. And when in negotiations, when I've been sitting with business partners, and you can tell there's like a really heated negotiation, building, or the tensions rising and stuff. If I can, I'll try to just pull back some awareness. Like, hey, here we all sitting in this room trying to help each other, but yet we can't figure out how to get done. And like just and then people will laugh because they realize, holy crap, that is what's happening, right? They start to see the situation, and then everybody realizes in that moment that we're all just humans sitting at a table trying to figure something out, and let's just talk about it. Let's just get easy and be transparent, be open, and quit with the pretense of the stress. And and that's interesting to me, even as I'm kind of saying it, is it seems like laughter breaks the illusion of seriousness, right? And I think sometimes we just get too serious, and we have to pull back and go, hey, like, it's okay. We're just people. Like we're just humans walking around on this planet. There's 8 billion of us, and we're all trying to figure this out. Nobody really has all the answers, and I'm fairly certain nobody really knows what's going on. We're just trying to
Totally.
we're all trying to live day by day.
Yeah, no, there's definitely social benefits to laughter. It's essential to the role of human connection and bonding. I mean, it strengthens our relationships, and it fosters like connection and trust. Like when you can both get, when it's kind of like a common denominator, like icebreaker or whatever, when you get somebody on that same page where you can make them smile and make them laugh, and whether it's romantic partnerships, friendships, or family dynamics, like humor helps people relate to each other on a deeper level, and it reduces conflict, and it promotes like, people to become closer,
Yeah.
it improves our communication and bonding in, group settings. I mean, it's contagious, and spreading positivity, that positive energy, it creates a sense of shared joy. And it's like especially true in like work environments or team settings. Humor can increase productivity and collaboration. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Because it takes the stress out of it, right? We're and ultimately we want work to not feel like work. We don't want to feel like we're indentured servants, with no choice or in the matter. We want to show up and provide value, and be human together. We're trying to accomplish a goal. It's interesting. I was thinking, watching our son Castle, right now he's, I think, developing his sense of humor. So he's, about 8 years old, and you know, he comes to me and talks about, like, he wants to make a joke, and he'll say something, and it'll make me laugh. And I've watched Elliot go through the same thing. They're curious, what makes dad laugh? What makes people laugh? And so they start to explore with this sense of humor. And he told me the other day, he made me laugh. And so I started chuckling at something he had said. And he comes up to me and he's like, Dad, I really like it when I make you laugh, because I like to make people laugh. And I was like, wow, it's
Me
so
too.
powerful, right? And like, it was important to him. Like, it was his gift he wanted to give. So he acts silly, and he acts kind of, he plays a little part, or he'll try to play the fool, right, to get a laugh out of it, because I think at the core of him he understands that if people are laughing, we're not fighting.
Totally. However, because I'm always that guy, and always trying to make people laugh, whatever, just kind of class clown or whatever. But sometimes, like, especially my kids and just family and stuff, like, my jokes are not well received, and or maybe at the end of the day kind of piss them off. I remember one time when I was on your team, Clint, in the office, there's like 12 guys. We're all sitting there, and a couple of the guys, like a big group of guys, got up and walked off. And one of the guys on our team, like twice as big as me, was sitting next to me, and I started singing, "Living in a material world." It was kind of a high pressure day, and he turned and said, "Shane, shut the hell up." And then I saw the whole group that was walking out come back and sit down, and everybody was like kind of looking to see if I was about to get like pummeled. And I just sat there and smiled. Nobody wanted to, you know.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Really.
Some people there, and there's that moment, right? Some people can't, if they want to be serious, if they feel like the moment needs to be serious, or they want you to take them seriously, laughter is not appropriate at this moment, right? Because it will feel um, like degrading, or it'll feel like you're, disregarding or diminishing the experience. And there's really moments where, you know, even I feel it, like, it's time to get serious. It's time to focus. It's not a laughing matter. Um, and I think that that's also appropriate, right? At certain times to get certain things done. But I found if I stay in that mode, I will exhaust myself. I will wear myself out. I'll
Totally.
stress myself out. I'll start getting bad sleep. If I stay in that kind of grind mindset of, just, push and push and success at all costs. And, like it's the end of the world if we don't accomplish this thing, no matter how mundane it is, right? And then I pull back and I'm like, wait a second, why am I doing this? Right. Like, and I find what's interesting, as soon as I gain the wisdom to pull back and go, I'm making this out to be much more than it is. The first thing I do is laugh. I start laughing, and I just kind of start chuckling to myself. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I beating myself over the head with this hammer when all I really need to do is just stop, right? And and I enjoy that moment. I enjoy that clarity of, like, okay, like, I've been making this too hard. I've been making this too serious. I've been pushing at it too much. And I think it's really important, especially in leadership positions and when you're working with a team, to understand that, if you're driving your team hard and we live in a success at all costs kind of economy, like, that's difficult for people. That's stressful, and it takes a lot away from life. And if we got to show up for 40 hours a week and go those whole 40 hours without laughing or without being able to enjoy the presence that we're in, like, that's not healthy.
Yeah, totally. I mean, laughter lightens your mood, and it can change your perspective from the negative to the positive, and it allows you to express your feelings and reduce that emotional tension, And I also think that incorporating humor into your life, into your daily life, it's been shown to decrease symptoms of anxiety and depression by, focusing on the lighter side. And it allows people to detach from the worries, even if it's just for a moment, and
Yeah.
and distant distancing themselves from some of these things that are so stressful. And being able to laugh in difficult situations helps us maintain, like, a sense of control and face of adversity, and it allows us to deal with our challenges more creatively, and it reduces the feelings of helplessness, and you know it promotes our resilience in these situations. Like being able to keep a smile on our face, it's important, but I also think there's a choice in there, like being able to stay focused on the lighter side, and the brighter side.
Yeah. 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 So it brings to me like the question, like, and it's just funny because I want to have a serious conversation about laughter, right? So that's just my nature, right? What makes what's funny? Like how do you do that appropriately? What is the right way? What are what kind of jokes are okay? How do you have humor? If you were to tell someone wanted to say, "Man, I want to be more funny. I want to make people laugh more," and you had to give them advice on how to, how to how to be more funny, how to make people laugh more. What would that advice be? Shannon, like, do you have thoughts on that?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
Right?
Totally,
That's a super tough question.
especially this
Uh,
day and age.
Yeah.
yeah, I, gosh, like, I think that's just like a really tricky question because I'm trying to think how to answer that. Like, I have friends who have just super dry sense of humor, and like, I appreciate that about them, but I know some people don't. So it's like they can make me laugh, but they might not make other people laugh. Um, I don't, I, I'm stumped. I don't know
Yeah.
how to answer that question.
I
You know,
mean,
because there's different kinds, right? There's dry senses of humor. You can be sarcastic. You can have that depreciating kind of or self-deprecating humor. There's lots of flavors of humor, but how do you know? When it's appropriate. I think about. And sorry, Shane. I'll say this, and then I'll let you. I want to hear what you got to say. But for me, I I've always just told the kids when you're being funny, if everyone's not laughing, it's not funny. So just be aware of that, right? Like if you're making jokes and
totally.
the other people aren't also laughing with you and feeling good, like you're probably not being funny. You're probably being rude.
Yeah,
Dude,
or trying to correct jokes at somebody else's expense.
Yeah, of course.
That's just, especially when you're a kid, that's essentially bullying, kind of in
Yeah,
a way, so.
yeah,
no, Clint, to your point, like when we were at the Texas Eclipse Music Festival last spring, um, there was a point that you told me that exact thing. If nobody's laughing, it's not funny. And I was like, oh, but you kind of put me in check. Maybe I was coming in a little too hot, like ET or something. Um, but I mean, so we grew up before the time of political correctness. It just is what it is. And,
yeah.
you know, I remember being a child and hearing like a young adult or I don't know, teenager, young teen, and hearing like Eddie Murphy's comedy. Like I think it was called Raw. It was
It
raw.
was called Raw. Yeah,
It was
and
like
it was
super raw.
raw.
Like it was like shocking stuff, but it was hilarious. It just was. And then also back then there was that show Love and Marriage or no?
Oh, Married with
Yep,
Children.
Married with Children. Dude, that would definitely not fly today. There's so many people that get offended and things like that. So it's a tight wire sometimes with you know being funny and making jokes or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still down to keep trying, because I love to see people's dimples and teeth and smiles and have them, like,
Yeah, there's an evolution that's occurring, and I'll be honest, I welcome the evolution because growing up, it was a different world for me even back in the 80s. Like what was funny and what people did. I had two older brothers that tormented me constantly. Like my oldest brother had this thing. He would like if I was laying down anywhere on the couch or something, he would come and sit on my chest, right? So that he's compressing my lungs. It's very tactical. Like I was really impressed at how clever and evil this was. But he would sit on my chest, right? And he would tickle me so that I'd start laughing, right? And so, I would expel all the oxygen out of my lungs and then he'd fart and stand up so that as soon as he stood up, I'd have to go to catch my breath. And so he wanted me to inhale as much of his flatulence as possible. And, he thought this was clever and funny. And in a weird way, back then a lot of people would think it was funny, but it wasn't funny for me. Like it was a terrible experience. One, I'm being tickle tortured, which even though you're laughing doesn't always feel good. I feel like I'm trapped and then I'm, kind of punished. But like that was that was the way, humor was taught and humor was communicated, during that era, right? And I think going on a couple of years later, and the ironic part about this, it was actually his daughter when she was little. We used to do this thing, and some of you might recognize this, but if you take and purse your lips real close and you blow, just go like that, like just blow a little puff of air, and you do it right on the top of someone's head, it will feel like you've spit on them. And my brothers taught me that, right? I used to think they were spitting on my head. Then I'd reach up there and there's no spit. It's just a puff of hot air. And so I think his daughter was, gosh, I mean, 4 years old, something like that, fairly small, right? And so I was just being silly and she was standing there in front of me and I kind of grabbed her and I did that on the back of her head. And she just turns around and with a big smile on her face, she spits right in my face. And I realized at that moment, I'm like, well, one, I deserved that. Like, and two, like for her, like she was just like, oh, okay, this is what we do. We spit on each other. Like, I'm in. And she just kind of jumped in and, and so it made me laugh, right? So I'm sitting there just laughing with spit on my face because I'm like, I deserve that. I asked for that. I created that situation where I showed it that was permitted behavior. And so I can't be mad at her for that. Like, even though, you spit in someone's face, it's definitely not an acceptable, sign of love and greetings and stuff like that. But she didn't know. And she loved me and she thought that's what we were doing. And so, in that moment, like you start to learn and realize that like, okay, like there's got to be better ways to be funny. And this has been a journey for me is how do we keep laughing? How do we keep having fun? And how do we get to that place where we can have joy because we need that. I think, I know I need laughter. If I go a whole day without laughing, like that's not a great day in my opinion, right? But how do we do that? And I think about the way, laughter has changed. Stand-up comedians, they're not funny anymore. A lot of times they're just getting up there being rude. The
Totally.
truth is, they were always being rude. I remember sitting I went to see Dane Cook once, right, live. And, I thought this guy was fairly funny. He was popular. Everybody seemed to be laughing. It was socially acceptable. But as I was sitting there listening to him, I was like, kind of offended by the things he was saying. I was like, I don't really feel like that's very funny. I seen another comedian the other day, and he was laughing about and making jokes about, why he thinks that we shouldn't have stopped spanking children. Like he was kind of in a way like supporting child abuse, through punishment. Like he's like, we should be hard on our kids. My dad used to beat me and all this kind of stuff. And he's laughing about how it, improved his work ethic and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I just couldn't get behind it. I'm like, look, I'm sorry. Just because you think it's funny doesn't mean I'm going to beat my children. Like, I don't, I'm not on board with that. And so I found myself not very entertained by that comedy.
Yeah, there's definitely a fine line, you know, to that. Like now they have people roasting other people, comedians and stuff. And so on that fine line, there's the ability to be able to laugh at yourself and for people to be able to laugh at themselves. But yeah, there's also a responsibility to not, you know, like perpetuate things that are not or far from most ideal just based on the fact that they could have some comical context to some people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you brought up an interesting point too, right? Like, comedians roasting each other. Like, there's a known agreement. You're a comedian. You should probably expect to get roasted. And I think in an interesting way, you and I do that to each other, right? Like you'll crack jokes at me, I'll crack jokes at you, but we have this relationship where we know it's a joke. right? We know how we think about each other. We know that we support each other and that we care for each other. But, in the heat of a moment, if it's kind of funny, like we'll crack jokes at each other just to make each other laugh a little bit because we have that, I think, that relationship and that understanding to the person on the outside, if they don't understand that you and I have known each other for a long time and that's why we're really comfortable making that joke, maybe it seems awkward. Maybe that could be uncomfortable to someone. But, if we do it well and we do it right, it it can make people laugh and it can break that tension and let people know, look, hey, we're just a couple normal people and we're just trying to do something fun and we're having a good time and it's okay to be here and there's no judgment. And, look, if you're worried and sitting there going, my goodness, what are people going to think of me? And, what if I say something wrong? And, to me, I just break the tension. I just go ahead and say something stupid, right? Okay, now look, if I can say the dumbest thing possible without, offending anything, just say something stupid, right? I could just cut that tension and just said, look, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to try to be the most intelligent speaker. We're just here to talk.
Totally. You definitely oftentimes put the ooh and stupid, and we definitely put the ill and silly. And so I was just thinking about what you're talking about your brother. Um, I had a little kind of rule regulation my whole life. My little sister, I was the only one to be able to beat her up and stuff like when we were kids, and now she's 46. I'm pretty sure she would destroy me. I wouldn't mess with her, but you just planted a seed. So whatever happens at this point, it's gonna be your fault. But now that she's 46, later I might have to like try to hold her down and do that sit on her and fart thing.
Yeah.
So
I
if
guarantee
you all
she will not like that. I don't care who
you
you
all
are.
see me on the world news later, I love you guys. That's what I'm
Oh, well, good luck.
saying. It's going
As a
down for sure.
46-year-old female,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
yeah.
say
No, it's going down. I'm going to do
good
it in
luck,
front of
Shane.
everybody. I'm going
Good
to do it
luck.
in front of everybody. Yeah. Here we go.
I'm rooting for your sister.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting, right?
No, totally. And I definitely think that there is, we have, there's like an evolutionary perspective to laughter. It's it helps deepen our cultural roots. And I think, Clint, you were telling me the other day that the Native Americans
Oh no, that
actually,
was me. That was me.
oh,
Yeah, the is the Navajo people. They about the 3 month mark with babies. We'll keep an eye out because when the baby first laughs, um, it means that the 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 soul of this baby, the spirit of this baby, has decided to officially come to the earthly realm. Because I guess up until that point, it's like half in the spirit realm and half on the earthly realm. And so when it first laughs, it's like a sign that it's ready to fully join the earthly realm. And so they throw like this huge party. Because like a baby's first laugh is just like a huge deal.
yeah. I mean, if you think about that, every laughter is so universal, and every human being on earth, like even if you're the meanest, most angry person, I feel like when you see a baby laugh, you feel it in your heart. It like, it's truly contagious and it reverberates through you and it uplifts you. Like babies laughing is one of the most joyous things that, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've ever encountered in my life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those videos are like you could sit and watch those videos forever because they're these little tiny guys just cracking up over like the funniest things, like the sound of ripping paper, and they just find the ultimate joy in it, and they're laughing forever, and it's hard to not laugh with them.
Yeah,
Right?
right. It is. I love those little videos. You just see something. It's like such a hack, right? If you want a viral video, just find a video of a baby laughing because it feels good. And I think it's because you see, like, we like laughter and there's no threat. A baby's not a threat. So when it's laughing, it feels totally innocent. Even if it's laughing potentially inappropriately, like it's still funny because you're like, well, the baby has no bad intent. And maybe that's kind of like one of the secret. And I love what you're saying about the Native American thing, like how beautiful in a culture to just say, wow, like, laughter is this spiritual evolution that begins in childhood. But, you know, maybe there's a truth behind the fact that we want to see our friends laugh. We want to see those that we love laugh. We don't want to see our enemies laugh, right? I think that plays a big part into it, because if you see your enemy laughing, kind of like a taunt.
Right. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't even think really at the end of the day we should be focusing on any attention and stuff in that direction. Just keep it, within the tribe and within our own individual self, and just stay focused on the positive and the things that we can control. And you know, I mean, it it helps us be more resilient, even in the face of potential enemies or whatever.
Yeah.
And no way better to frustrate haters or enemies or whatever than being able to sincerely keep that smile on your face and be able to laugh about it, and not be uh, drawn into the dark side.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Right. Because if you can laugh and walk it off, then you're okay. And if someone's trying to make you not be okay, they don't want to see you laughing. But yeah, you're right. There that is out there. There's a strength in laughter. It can show, resilience. It can show determination, and it can. It's powerful, right, in a lot of different ways. But I love where we're going, kind of in talking about it with children, because 3 months old, right, without any understanding technically of what humor is, when a baby is experiencing something it's enjoying, it's laughing, right? It starts laughing. And to Shannon's point, there's a culture that recognizes that joy of life, despite what the subject is, as the moment that your soul fully embodies your body. I think it's just beautiful, right? Like, laughter is incredible.
Well, they've done studies too that like children laugh, I think it's like 300 times a day, where adults average about 17.
Wow.
That's a huge deficit. That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And it's
the,
sad. Like, what are we doing that should be laughing just as much? Like,
the
are we
days that I'm
so
not
serious?
the days that I'm not laughing are usually rough, more rough days for me. And it goes back to the point, like, I sometimes will, you know, have to, put on music or, a Disney movie or something to kind of like lean into the lighthearted side, and to get the smile and being able to laugh come back, make it come back. It's an important part of our well-being, and it's definitely a choice, to seek it out when it's not there, knowing that it's good for us, um, keeping our eye on that ball. I think it's critical for our well-being and our, our mental health and our, you know, doing well at work and everything. It's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's trying to make me think of, like, what are some good funny jokes? Shannon, I know you've got one you like. You want to share? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. I'm over here cracking myself up on mute over the stupidest joke. I think I'm the only one who likes this joke, but
I
um
like it. I think it's good. You can go ahead. I'll be your recipient.
okay, okay. Um what's the difference between a good joke and a bad joke? Timing. Dumb. So dumb, but I like.
That's
Wait,
fantastic.
what was the punchline? Oh man.
Do we need to break it down? So the joke, right, is that timing is huge, right? And so he just busts the timing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know any jokes that would probably be appropriate. I mean, I don't even know what is appropriate anymore or whatever, but I just make them up as they come. And like, I used to always, the, the one joke that I've made that I really think is funny and my kids hate because I still make the joke, is like, what do rabid dads make? So I'm a little off in some ways. So rabid is like,
Yeah.
relevance. So what do rabid dads make? And I'm always like, rabies babies. And they're like, really, dad? They walk away with like a frown and an angry face. Like, I don't know, it has like reverse reaction, but it makes me laugh. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, I think that's our job as parents.
It was one of the best things about being a dad is like the dad jokes, right? The truth is, I was making them my whole life, but like it became appropriate after being a dad because I'm like, oh, it's just a dad joke now, right? But just making those simple little jokes, puns, and play on words and all that kind of stuff that just gets a giggle out of somebody. I love dad jokes.
Yeah, I love making the kids laugh. I think that's like a good way to get yourself to laugh, right? If you get your kids to laugh and get them going, and then you can get going with them, or even if they just roll their eyes at you because they think it's the stupidest thing they've ever heard, like it's still, I don't know, I still think it's fun. It's funny.
Yep.
Yeah, it's truly a form of natural holistic medicine, like let's keep our eye on joy and let's not sweat the small stuff or really anything. It's a miracle to be here and to keep our eye on the bright side and to be able to just smile and laugh. It's an enjoyable way to improve our mental, physical health and just like approach our days like kind of stress free and um, you know just strengthening our our bonds with the people that we touch, and make that positivity and that happiness contagious. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a sense of responsibility and almost obligation to keep my mindset there, just for my own self, but for the people that I'm with, and I'll always be that
Yeah.
clown looking for it.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm sitting here thinking like we're talking about laughter, and I'm wanting to like try to be funny, and I realize as I'm trying to be funny, I can't think of one funny thing to say. It's like you have to kind of catch humor in that moment and roll with it and let it come up naturally, and it seems to work better because for me, as I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, Clint, what's something funny you could say? What's like my mind goes completely blank, right? I'm like, I don't know what is funny. All of a sudden, I'm like, am I even capable of humor? Because I'm
No,
literally trying to be funny, and when and it's weird, but it's like you're trying to be funny, you're kind of not funny.
no, totally. To that point, Clint, there is an authenticity part of the whole thing, and 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 again, this laughter like part it's just in me. It always has been. And so one time, Clint, you and I were on a call with like someone that was like a CEO of like a huge entity in America that everybody knows about, and we were on this call with a couple people, and oh, this person was overseeing the Kentucky Derby, is what it was. And
Yeah.
and I grew up in Texas, and I wear a cowboy hat and Birkenstocks, like a lot of cowboys. The sandals part, I'm pretty sure, is definitely it might be offensive, but it's just how I roll. Anyway, so one day we were at a grocery store and they had horses on like this little thing that went around in circles in the parking lot, and I could pay $5 to ride these horses. So I let her know like what I just said, and so in case anybody ever called off sick for the Kentucky Derby, I let her know like, look, I've got training riding horses, uh, so so the show can go on. If anybody calls off sick, I'm here and I'm available. And
Yeah.
she said, so you only weigh 100 pounds? And then there was an awkward silence. And then Clint, you said, he's going to need two horses. And then
Yeah,
we all bust, we all busted out laughing. It hurt my feelings a little bit, but whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Whatever.
that's that point. Like, you were, like we can do that because we're friends or whatnot. But yeah, absolutely, right. Just pulling kind of the irony out of the moment, that breaking that awkward silence. It's fun, right? It's good to
I
be
mean,
playful.
the, even the fact that it wasn't necessarily a serious nature call. It was, pretty casual, but you know, the funny thing about it is there was a shock value for me, and they're just throwing it in there like just being silly, and then we all laughed so hard, sincerely at the end of it. It was good. It
Yeah,
was a bonding. It was a bonding moment. Like we were all like, all right, all right, all right. At the end of it. Got off with a
yeah,
big smile on our face and like carried that on throughout the day. And then everybody else we touched, we saw that smile and we made them smile. It's how it works, man. It's a ripple effect.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think being mindful of it and knowing when and where it's appropriate and how to deliver it. But it's a practice, like, to do that as you're older. As a baby, it seems like it's natural. It just comes up 3 months old, right? We're going to start laughing. And then as we grow, we have to develop that skill, just like you develop the skill for walking, you just develop the skill for talking, right? We have to develop that and reintegrate it into our thinking so that we can just relax a little bit, right? And remember that, the sun's going to rise and it's not on your to-do list. And there's more air than you're going to be able to breathe on this planet. And there's not as much to worry about as you thought there was, right? Sure, there are things on the planet that are bad, but there are a lot of things that are good. There's a lot of things that are beautiful. And honestly, there's a lot of great things to just laugh about and enjoy. And, like one of my favorites, I love it when I'm laughing so hard I start crying. That is my
Totally.
favorite thing. When I start feeling the tears come down my cheeks because I'm literally just laughing so hard. I'm having such a good time, that like I can feel that. It's like I just recognize, like, I'm so interesting. Like, I'm just proud of myself and proud of that moment that I feel, so comfortable and, so secure, or whatever it is in that moment. There's so much joy that, like, literally the tears are coming out of your eyes from laughter. Like, it's just fantastic. If you haven't laughed so hard you cried, you got to go get some funny movies or something. You got to start figuring out, like what is your laugh trigger? What makes you laugh? What is funny to you? Like, and find your laugh, and find people that make you laugh. Surround yourself with people that
Yeah.
laugh, right?
It's a
Like,
choice.
yeah, yeah. If there's yeah, it's for me, like, just naturally, I don't typically bond well with pessimists. And, there are people who believe that pessimism is a successful way of life, and they just, think that it provides them safety and stuff like that. But they typically don't laugh a lot. Like, wait a second, right? Like, why would you want to go through all of your life without laughing? And maybe for them that is the right path. Maybe that's exactly what they need. But I know for me, you know, I'm not getting to 99 or however long I'm going to live and want to turn around and go, wow, I wish I would have laughed more. I'm really proud of myself. I made it through this whole thing without laughing very much. Like,
Oh,
I'm,
I don't know. I've met some funny pessimists.
yeah,
Yeah.
Usually sarcastic, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sarcastic, really dry, like real dark humor, but
y-
still equally funny.
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I get that. Go ahead.
no, if it provokes laughter, I mean, like there is a time and a place, and hopefully it's not at anybody else's expense. Um, but there's definitely something there. And I also think that you know, maintaining our youth, like even though we're now adults, like I'm still like a giant little kid, and I still have that sense of humor of like a little kid. I just don't, like, regardless of how real things are or serious, I still in my heart like I'm just a giant little kid, and so much so that, like, of all the movies that I can watch, I'm still most inclined and enjoy Disney movies. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like Dory and you know, uh what was the movie with the
Up
fin?
was my favorite. I loved Up. That movie made me laugh so much. There were just so many great moments and
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. So Disney movies for me is something that I lean into to, but there's also The Hangover. If I'm having a bad day, I'll just watch like one of the Hangover
Oh,
movies or whatever. It always,
the Hangover's good. Dumb and Dumber is
yeah,
always like a good go-to for me.
totally.
I still laugh at how stupid that movie is, but I love it. It
Yeah.
it kills me
There's a
every
chance.
time,
Yeah.
right? You're saying there's a chance. You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? I won't do it. I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
so stupid. It's so funny.
it
But
makes you
it's,
think too. Something else that brings it out too is playing board games, right? I find that like we have friends come over, and yeah, you can laugh at us if you're listening right now. We play board games. I like Monopoly and Risk and Pandemic and all these. Yes, there's a board game called Pandemic. It came out years before the pandemic, which like I'm like, hey, look, we even had a game. We should have been prepared for this. But anyways, like playing, getting around with friends and just playing those games, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or whatever you do, like having that moment of enjoyment. Like, I don't know how many times when playing board games with friends, we all bust out laughing. I think I like playing board games for that reason more than the game itself.
I think that's the function of having an activity like board games where you're close together and have everybody's attention and everybody's focused on the thing. And, that's when you get down to the root of it all. And you're right. Like that's creating an opportunity to perpetuate laughter and smiles and happiness.
Well, true. But also like I know when we have game night, like we invite the people over that also make us laugh the most.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a balance. Like,
Totally.
you're
Yeah.
going to have a good time with the game and things that happen in the game will probably make you laugh. But then you can also be really just, I don't know, dumb together.
Yeah.
Um,
And
that's
here comes
fun.
my dad joke, the irony of playing board games to have fun. They're not boring. Yeah.
Did you hear it? Could you hear my eye
Dun,
roll over
dun,
the
dun,
thing?
dun,
Could you
dun.
hear it? Felt loud.
Yep. I know, like instinctively, the kids, without even hearing it, their eyes rolled somewhere too. They're like, "Oh, I felt it. Dad made another dad joke."
There's a dad joke ripple in the force.
Yeah. Every time a dad makes a joke, a Sean Bean somewhere dies.
Oh, every time a dad makes a joke, a kid rolls his eyes.
Right.
That's my greatest quality and definitely thinks it. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. I don't know if we call it your greatest quality.
I can hear you, buddy. You're not on mute.
Oh, sorry.
That's pretty good.
Anyway,
Anyways, well, definitely like I appreciate you guys having the conversation with me and with us, and you know, for the listeners out there, like what do you think's funny? Like, where what makes you laugh? That's really what I'd love to hear. Is what gets you tickled? Because if we can start sharing these things, like what is what makes us laugh? What's fun? Like, this is not an art that I want humanity to lose, right? Like, we need to keep the laughter. We need to find ways to enjoy each other's presence and feel comfortable enough to laugh around each other. We've got to figure that out, because if we can't get to laughing, we're going to stay divided, because if we think everybody's our enemy, and we already talked about it, we don't want to see our enemies laugh. And if we think everybody's out to get us, there's not going to be any laughter. There's no laughter in war. I'll be honest with that. Like, the only time I think a soldier laughs is when you're out of the war and you're trying to find someplace safe. Maybe not. Maybe you laugh in the heat of the moment, but laughter creates bonds. It helps to build community, and it helps to connect us, right? So, yeah, if you can share what makes you laugh. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and if you get a chance, come see us at Evolving Mindsets and share some laughs with us. We like to have fun. We like to play around. We do take things seriously and we talk about some really serious topics, but we also like to take the edge off and make sure that we're not creating additional pressures, because there's enough pressure out there for everyone. We need to release that tension and let it be okay to laugh.
Absolutely.
So, Shannon, do you cook us up some good quotes for laughter?
Always.
What you got?
All right. Victor Hugo says, laughter is the sun that drives winter from the human face.
Nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Poetic.
Yeah, I have quite a few in here. Let's see. August Wilson says, all you need in the world is love and laughter. That's all anybody needs, to have love in one hand and laughter in the other.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That one. Wayne Dyer says, it is impossible for you to be angry and laugh at the same time. Anger and laughter are mutually exclusive, and you have the power to choose either.
Wow, that's powerful.
Totally.
Yeah. Love Wayne Dyer. Great quote.
Let's see here. Mark Twain says, the human race has one really effective weapon, and that is laughter.
Huh. Interesting.
The kind of like probably the most famous laughter quote by Charlie Chaplin, a day without laughter is a day wasted.
Ah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I totally get that. 100% on board. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Shane, what do you got? You got a poem for us?
I have something. All right. The happiest madman. The happiest madman is blowing up in the promised land as an eagle soaring or a lion roaring high upon Mount Zion. The happy child is laughing upon the glory of dawn on golden ponds. Like the sun, I shine in the alpine, illuminated and high by the divine. The soul's in control, so I'm taking a stand. Spartans and Jedis, I am your man. Dropping love and positivity on you, mushroom clouding like a nuke, punching with soul all the way through, provoking smiles, bringing the truth.
Oh, beautiful, man. Awesome. I love it.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right. All right. And to all our listeners, thanks so much for listening in. And we'll be back again with another episode in the near future. Stop by www.evolving-mindsets.com if you want to join in the community and have some fun with us. Please leave your comments in the feeds below. We love to hear from you. If there's anything you'd like us to talk about or you have any questions, that's what we're here for. We want to make connections and start having the conversations that we need to have more often. So we appreciate it. And that's it for now. See you next time.
Thanks, guys. John on
Bye.
y'all.
Love y'all.
Gonna find your path, gonna lead the way, strike through the storm, never go astray. Or whisper truth and let your spirit roar. You're a force of nature, crash upon the shore.